You'll see it again. You'll see it again. A little bit loud at the beginning. Beta demo version 6. Is there anything telling me to progress? Oh, that is loud. That is loud as a starter. And there's no immediate option screen. There we go. That's better. It's using a float rather than a percentage. It's interesting to note. I don't have a problem with that personally, but it's just half that volume and set it to 0.2. I think this CRT effect is a little bit strong. It's interesting that they have the triple color thing, but it looks a little bit strong. Nihongo de what? Nippon by Sailite? What's this? Oh, I can't read that kanji. I don't know what that is. Meh what? Ball is full screen, VSync on, FPS limit unlimited. I'll set that to 60. Temporal anti-aliasing, lens distortion, CRT effect. Oh, there it is. It's off now. So it still looks good without the CRT effect, but I'm not really fond of this particular one where they have 3 colors lines, but let's just leave that on by default. And I'm just pressing right click to go back, which is nice, just muscle memory. We've got alternate keys, yay! They could probably fix that by having mouse wheel up and down. I think this options menu is not complete. Look at all those underscores. I wonder what this is though. Like, should I turn it on? Oh, maybe I'll do a level and then turn that on and see what it is. Tower escape. Unknown armed assailants have taken over the skyscraper and are looking for you. Given their numbers, they seem to know who you are and your abilities. Put them out of action and escape the tower. Agent, Special Agent, 64 Agent. And with mission, different objectives. So if this isn't obvious, this is straight up just GoldenEye 007 on 64. Like it's just a big homage to it. And I just saw this on, you know, the demo page, the demo listing for Steam Next Fest. And it's like, oh, cool. I don't know if they're kind of going a bit too much into it though, but let's just start with diffuse explosive. Let's just start with agent. That's just the easy difficulty. They're really going for that old aesthetic, huh? Like low quality textures and adding a CRT filter on top of it. Oh, even that camera. Oh wow, that mouse sensitivity is super low. So let's turn that up to 4. Okay, that's actually a little bit too high. Let's turn that up down to 1. Can I type it in? Yes, I can type it in. Aim mode sensitivity 1. Okay. So, man, they even have the little pistol movement down. So, like on the GoldenEye, in the original GoldenEye, like for some reason when you're turning your camera, the pistol kind of went along with it. But I kind of wonder if there's like, if there's an aim button where, is there an aim button? Secondary, interact, both F and E. Reload, I'll put down mouse 4. Okay, so there's no aim button, unfortunately. That would have been a nice little extra touch. Jeez, this entire aesthetic. So I would have actually liked, if they wanted to keep up with this theme. So like in GoldenEye, the aim down sights was not really aim down sights. It was more like just an on-screen mouse cursor that let you aim. And I think that would have been nice instead of just having no crosshair. Because in this case, there's just some auto aim. Oh, they even have like a breath to, when you're hit. Yeah, it's not a super complicated first-person shooter. But I would have liked being able to do headshots or do fine aiming. And it looks like the level is actually designed with no verticality in mind. You don't actually need to look up command. Oh, now it's enabling that. Okay, there we go. There we go. That button wasn't enabled yet. So there's a little... Okay, see, this is how the aim down sights works in GoldenEye. Like, you had this cursor, and you just stood in place and looked around. So, like, otherwise, like, there's just auto aim. I think this is a little bit sensitive, though. I think this is like a software cursor rather than something attached directly to the mouse. Like, by default, you can see it's actually aiming at the chest, but if we just aim up a bit... This is a great aesthetic. But yeah, I think the aim cursor here, it's way too sensitive. I think instead of having an aim mode sensitivity, they should have an option to just have it connected to your system mouse. Oh, escape just doesn't work sometimes. Okay. So like after entering text, looks like the escape button doesn't work. And there's no jump button or anything, so... Lots of auto aim. It's Q to switch items and launch the decoder. It's a hatch into what? This doesn't make any sense. It just goes into a toilet? Sure. That's silly. Wow, they're completely deaf, aren't they? Are they friendly? Oh, I just shot blue on, didn't I? Ah, I can open the door even though it's behind bars. So I guess my next question is like, can I dual wield? Probably not, actually. It'd be nice if I could do access ground floor and escape tower. Hello? Oh, I was already here. Need a key card, okay. So your mileage may vary on this, but like because it's mainly auto aim, like you don't need to worry about aiming. It's very old school like Doom gameplay. It's like and there's no crosshair, right? You just need to like aim in the general vicinity and auto aims. Because of that, I think like this kind of first-person shooter gameplay is a lot about has a lot of positioning strategy involved as well. Like it lets you concentrate on that rather than being able to aim well. So it just makes things more accessible a little bit, you know? Here's the key card. Press Q to switch items. I could just use the scroll wheel. Okay, so the scroll is just weapons, and then Q to items. Oh, it's just like in GoldenEye again, isn't it? It's just using that kind of control style, which is interesting. So like in GoldenEye, again, like you had like two buttons, one to scroll through weapons and one to scroll through items. And it's essentially just using that style by default. So then I just flick my scroll wheel to switch weapons to the weapons. So yeah, a lot of it seems to just be like GoldenEye. So oh, this is a different gun. Is there a drop gun button? Objectives like escape tower. Yeah, I haven't found any medkits. That's not good. Now that is something I don't remember very well. It's like I don't remember there being a way to heal yourself. I might be mistaken. I probably am. But yeah, no medkits. And I'm out. Back to menu. Okay. So it's just this one mission. That's a really good length for a single mission, about 10 minutes. Let's turn this on and see what exactly this is now. But yeah, it's not the most difficult thing in the world, I think. Oh, it just changes everything in Japanese. It's literally just a Japanese option. Well, let's give it a try. I mean, the main menus are still in English. Just the objectives are in Japanese for some reason. What's the point of this though? Is it really just an incomplete language option? Let's just pick agents again. I think that's... briefing. I think it actually is just an incomplete Japanese option. Okay, let's go to the random mission. Yeah, it's just a demo, that's... Defuse explosives, free civilian hostages. It's also, like, it's really nice that higher difficulties have more objectives. And that really, you know, that's, again, this is how the original GoldenEye was. Because, like, these days, more higher difficulty just means more damage and enemies are harder. But they, like, this game also did an interesting step of having actual, like, increased difficulty in the actual mission progression as well, like in objectives. And the enemies probably aren't that much harder. They have a little bit more health. Yeah, they're definitely more aggressive in their shooting. They aim a bit better. Oh, I hit the railing. And there we go, I'm dead. The fact that I was willing to replay that level should say a lot about how I'm happy with the game loop. And just how fun it was. Overall, I think this does exactly what it sets out to do, and it's essentially just a bit of an unofficial remake of GoldenEye. You know, like and kind of bringing it into the modern day. It's kind of interesting because like we definitely have a lot of pixel retro remakes. You know, but we haven't had anything really that goes back to early 3D graphics retro remakes. Like we've had a few things, but not a lot. And here, I think they've more or less just completely nailed it. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the game itself, and wow, like visually, it was just looked great. I think the only I think the only criticism I had about the whole CRT filter thing was just like the text had that particular emphasis on like the three colored split. And I think this might be a subjective thing because it may have been a thing that varied from television to television. Like the thing about CRT reproductions, like as a shader, is that like getting past the fact that like some reproductions weren't good in the first place, right? Like some people think it's just chromatic aberration, but it's more than that. There's also the fact that TVs were physically different depending on the brand. So the way, like, there is like a general idea of how CRTs looked, but the specifics of like the way the colors split for small things like text, that varies from TV to TV. So for me, it's like that's a nitpick for me. I don't know how other televisions were like, but that's not something my TV had. Yeah. Um, Aiming was a bit tricky. So like when it came to aiming down sights, so to speak, using right click to aim, it seemed to be using a software cursor, and there was like a sensitivity option for that. Personally, I think I would have gone for an option to use a system cursor as well, just to make aiming much more precise. Because yeah, there was just, you know, that weird mouse acceleration there going on. But man, this pretty much just felt like playing GoldenEye. Like there is like so GoldenEye was really the first well, it's not the first console first person shooter, but it was the first one that really seemed to nail down good controls. And like, and it was interesting that they managed to do that because the developers never actually made a game like that before. Like they had no reference point on how a console first person shooter should be made. And since they didn't have that bias, they somehow managed to make a really good one, like with excellent controls and a system like that as well. And this thing seems to nail it. You know, it just reproduced all of those little things, which make this into a really nice. I kind of want to say it's a nice casual FPS because of the way the aiming system works, right? It's like, and it doesn't concern itself with being precise with aiming unless, like, except in specific spots, right? You don't need to be good at shooting all the time to defeat enemies. But you do need to be good at aiming if you want to be tactical in certain respects, like shooting the padlock or being stealthy and getting headshots. But like if you just want to do a run and gun, you don't need to concern yourself with that. And it's like that's an interesting way of doing things to keep things both casual and like having an option open for expert. At least that's the way that I like to take it. The level itself was also pretty short. I mean, there was a timer there on how to get through the whole thing. It's just a pretty short thing. Like it's something good for speedrunning. Yeah, I think they're like I'm not a total fan of the UI, like the health bar. I think there probably could have been a little bit more feedback there instead of a solid block. I've never really been a fan of a solid block of a health bar, you know. And there could have been a bit more incrementation there. But yeah, I mean that's really one of the things that like make first person shooters inaccessible. Like, okay, well, how precise should this thing be? Like, there's auto aim. Well, that's probably a big subject for debate. Like, that could be a pretty big subject of debate, really, and discussion. But you know, this game isn't strictly speaking a first person shooter. You know, it's a spy game. You have objectives, and I think it's nice that, you know, like they've also like put that into consideration into the aiming system to kind of de-emphasize that. And you know, you have fine control where you want it, and like if you don't really need fine control, if you do want like, then the game allows you to not have it. That's a weird way of saying that. The game allows you to not have it. But all that being said, there is probably something I could argue here about how all of this has been already done, right? Because this is clearly just the original GoldenEye, like reproduced. So, like, you know, I could probably say something about how, you know, maybe the developers aren't fully aware of those things that I've kind of just pointed out, like those kinds of design philosophies, and maybe they just worked hard on reproducing GoldenEye without fully understanding like the kind of design considerations that happen. And that's certainly a possibility. And something that happens with retro remakes and why I tend to not like them is because they try to reproduce, you know, an old game, but they don't fully understand it. And they don't really fully understand all of the design decisions and design consequences that emerged from that combination of things. So instead, you just have something that's kind of like an imitation that's a bit over exaggerated. Like I did mention earlier, like, oh, you know, Nintendo games, like the whole, like modern ones tend to be really hard for some reason. And that's because, you know, you look back in this rose-tinted glasses, all you really remember is how hard it was, and there isn't really any consideration about everything surrounding it. It's like, okay, why is it so hard? Like, was it because you were a kid? Was it because the controls were jank? And instead, and in order to reproduce that feeling, the game's like super difficult, even though the controls are great. Like, there's probably a lot more to go into here, but I think here, at the very least for this first level, they've absolutely nailed the game flow and the mechanics, and just allowing me to like concentrate on the fun bits. You know, it's like if I just want to go around and shoot stuff, I don't need to concentrate on aiming. If I want to do spy stuff, there's a moment for me to like concentrate on that. There's a really small slice of an opening level. It wasn't super complicated, but it did let me experience all those things, so I think it's great. So that's definitely something I'll keep an eye on and put on my wish list, I think. So, yeah. And that's, yeah. So, let's press submit it.